Most people make avocado seeds harder than they need to be. They stab them with toothpicks, balance them over a glass, forget to change the water, watch the bottom turn slimy, and then blame the seed. But the lazy way is different. No balancing act, no daily babysitting, no tiny science project on the windowsill. The seed already knows how to grow. Your job is just to keep it warm, barely moist, breathing, and facing the right direction long enough for the crack to open. Before you reach for the toothpicks, understand what they actually do. They do not feed the seed, they do not wake it up, they do not tell the root where to go. They only hold the avocado seed over water so you can watch the process happen. That is why the method feels so exciting. You get to see the root, you get to see the split, you get to look through the glass and feel like something is happening. And to be fair, the glass method can work. It is fun for kids, it is fun if you want a little windowsill experiment. It is satisfying to watch that white root push out of the bottom and curl through the water. But if your goal is the lazy way, the toothpick glass is not lazy. It needs refilling. It needs clean water. It gets cloudy. The seed can turn slimy. The bottom can soften. And if you forget about it long enough, the same setup that looked clever can become the reason the seed rots. The toothpicks are not magic. They are just a stand. The real things the seed needs are much simpler: warmth, gentle moisture, air, and time. That is it. Not a perfect glass. Not 3 toothpicks pushed into the sides. Not a daily inspection like the seed is in a hospital bed. In fact, the more you touch it, poke it, peel it, move it, rinse it, and worry over it, the more chances you create to damage something that was already built to start on its own. And once you stop worshipping the toothpicks, you realize the seed was never asking for a trick in the first place. An avocado seed is not empty. It is a living package with stored energy inside. It already carries the first push of life. It has enough stored food to split, send out a root, and push a shoot upward before it ever becomes a real little plant. You are not waking the seed up. You are getting out of its way. That is the whole idea behind the lazy method. The gardener does less, but the seed gets exactly what it needs. You are not forcing growth. You are preventing the common failures: rot, cold, drowning, upside-down planting, and constant disturbance. That is why some avocado seeds sprout in compost piles, in garden beds, or in forgotten pots. Nobody balanced them over a glass. Nobody gave them a speech. They found moisture, warmth, and a place to open. But there is one tiny detail that can ruin the whole lazy method before the seed even cracks. You have to know which end goes down. Pick up the seed and look at its shape. Most avocado seeds have a wider, flatter end and a slightly pointier end. The wider end is usually the bottom. That is where the root wants to come out. The pointier end is usually the top. That is where the shoot wants to rise. Sometimes you will also see a little circular scar on the bottom, the place where the seed was attached inside the fruit. That scar is a good clue. Half the lazy method is just not planting the seed upside down. If the seed is very round and you are not sure, do not panic. Look for the widest, flattest base. That side should face down when you wrap it, when you place it in a container, and later when you pot it. The root wants the wide end, the shoot wants the sky. This matters because the seed already has a plan. You are not creating the plan. You are only aligning it so the root does not have to fight the wrong direction. If you get the direction right, the rest becomes much easier. If you get it wrong, the seed may still correct itself, but it wastes energy doing it. Lazy gardening is not about making the seed work harder. It is about removing little obstacles. Once the direction is right, the next mistake is not neglect. It is too much love. Here is the simple setup. After you eat the avocado, save the seed while it is still fresh. Rinse off the slippery flesh under lukewarm water. You do not need soap. You do not need bleach. You do not need anything dramatic. Just clean off the fruit pulp so it does not start rotting around the seed. Now look at the brown papery skin. If it comes off easily, you can peel it. Many people like removing it because it lets them see the seed better and may reduce moldy bits. But do not obsess over it. If the skin is stuck and peeling it starts gouging the seed, stop. A neat seed is nice. A wounded seed is not. Check the seed for soft spots, black rotten patches, bad smell, or mushy areas. A good seed should feel firm, like a small potato. If it is already soft and collapsing, do not build an entire project around it. Start with a better seed. Now take a paper towel and dampen it. This is where people mess up. The towel should be barely damp, not dripping. If you squeeze it and water runs out, it is too wet. Squeeze the extra water away until the towel feels like a wrung-out sponge. Then wrap the seed with the wide end still facing down. Put it in a loose plastic bag, a small container with a loose lid, or anything that holds humidity without becoming a sealed swamp. Lazy does not mean careless. Lazy means simple enough that you do not ruin it by touching it every day. Place that wrapped seed somewhere warm and dark. A cupboard can work. A warm shelf can work. The top of a refrigerator can work if it stays gently warm. Do not bake it in direct sun. Do not put it in a cold garage and expect tropical speed. Avocados like warmth. Warmth tells the seed the world is safe enough to start. Now write the date on the bag or container and leave it alone. Check once a week. Not every morning. Not every time you walk past. Open it. Make sure the towel is still slightly damp. Make sure nothing smells rotten. Then close it again. If it is drying out, add just enough moisture to bring it back to barely damp. If it is wet and slimy, you use too much. Damp is life. Soggy is rot. And when that seed finally cracks, most people think something broke, but that crack is actually the first victory. The first sign of life often looks like damage. The seed splits, a line opens down the side. Sometimes the two halves spread apart. It can look strange if you have never seen it before, but that crack is not failure. That crack is pressure from life inside the seed. The root is preparing to push out. The shoot will come later. The crack is not damage. The crack is the seed opening its door. Do not pry it wider. Do not cut it open. Do not try to help the root escape. That is how people turn patience into injury. The seed has been splitting seeds longer than we have been making gardening videos. Let it do the work. Some seeds crack quickly. Others take much longer. Freshness matters. Warmth matters. Variety matters. The condition of the fruit matters. Sometimes two seeds from the same kitchen behave completely differently. One cracks early. One sits there like a stone, and both can still be alive. That is why the lazy method is not a countdown. It is a waiting game. When the first white root begins to show, that is your signal. It may be short at first, just a little white nub at the bottom. Later it may lengthen and thicken. If you let it grow too long inside the towel, it can become fragile, twisted, or easy to break when you move it. So once the root is clearly visible, start preparing its real home. Because now the seed needs a home, not a wet napkin. This is where the lazy method changes. The seed can start in moisture, but the plant survives in drainage. A damp towel is useful for cracking. It is not a forever home. The moment the root appears, your job is to move the seed toward the environment it will actually live in. Soil with air, drainage, and room for roots. Choose a small pot with drainage holes. Not a giant decorative pot with no holes. Not a cute cup that holds water at the bottom. Drainage is non-negotiable. Avocado roots are sensitive to soggy conditions, and poor drainage is one of the fastest ways to turn a successful sprout into a rotting disappointment. Use a loose, well-draining potting mix. You do not need to create a laboratory blend. A decent indoor potting mix can work better if it drains freely. If the mix holds water like mud, lighten it. The goal is moisture without suffocation. Place the seed with the root down and the point up. Bury the bottom half or bottom 2/3 in the mix and leave the top exposed. The exposed top helps you watch the seed and reduces the chance of burying it in a wet pocket. Press the mix gently around it. Do not crush the root. Do not pack the soil like concrete. Water gently until the mix is evenly moist and water can drain from the bottom. Then stop. Do not keep pouring just because you are excited. Do not leave the pot sitting in a saucer full of water. Let the excess drain away. A seed that starts adapting to soil early does not have to relearn how to live later. That is the advantage of moving it before it becomes a long, fragile water root plant. The classic water glass method can look exciting because the roots are visible, but those roots then have to adjust when they are moved into soil. Some seedlings handle that just fine. Others droop, pause, or suffer transplant shock. The lazy method tries to avoid making the plant switch worlds too late, and this is where most people accidentally kill the avocado they just successfully sprouted. They keep it too wet. Wet and moist are not the same thing. This matters more than almost anything else in the early stage. Avocado seeds like moisture. They do not like drowning. Roots need oxygen. When the towel is dripping, when the bag is sealed like a swamp, when the pot has no drainage, or when the saucer holds water for days, the root zone loses air. Then rot moves in. The seed does not fail because you ignored it. It fails because you loved it wet. A healthy pot should feel lightly moist after watering, then slowly dry a little before the next watering. The top may look dry while the inside still has moisture, so do not water only because the surface looks pale. Put your finger into the mix. If it is still damp below the surface, wait. If it is dry deeper down, water gently. If it smells sour, feels sticky, or stays wet for days, something is wrong with the drainage, the pot size, or the mix. Do not use a pot 5 times bigger than the seed because you think bigger means better. A very large pot can hold too much unused moisture around a tiny root system. Start reasonable. Let the plant grow into its space. When roots fill the pot later and growth demands more room, then size up gradually. Once the seed survives the rot stage, the next challenge is not water anymore. It is light. The warm, dark place helped the seed crack. It did not build a tree. Darkness helps the seed crack. Light helps the plant become a tree. When the shoot appears above the seed, move the pot to bright indirect light. A sunny window with filtered light can be excellent. A grow light can help if your home is dark, but do not take a tender new sprout from a cupboard and throw it into harsh full sun all afternoon. That is not tough love. That is leaf burn waiting to happen. Watch the stem. If it stretches tall and thin, with big gaps between leaves, the plant is reaching. It is telling you the light is too weak. A skinny avocado is usually not lazy. It is reaching for light. Move it brighter. Rotate the pot every few days so the stem does not lean hard in one direction. If the leaves are soft and new, give them time. Those first leaves can unfold slowly. They may look wrinkled or delicate at first. Let them open. Let the stems strengthen. Let the plant become a plant before you start judging it. If you live in a cold climate, treat this as an indoor houseplant. Avocado is not a winter-proof backyard tree in cold zones. It likes warmth and light. A warm, bright windowsill is usually better than a cold, drafty porch. If you move it outside in warm weather, introduce it slowly. Plants can sunburn just like people can. A few hours of gentle morning sun is different from all-day afternoon heat. And if you leave that skinny stem alone forever, it can turn into the exact avocado plant nobody wanted. Left alone, an avocado often becomes a green umbrella on a stick. One straight stem climbs upward, 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 and leaves gather near the top. It can still be healthy, but indoors it may look awkward, tall, and bare. If you want a fuller houseplant, you need to understand the bushy tree trick. Do not pinch a weak seedling too early. Let it grow enough leaves. Let the stem gain strength. Once the plant is strong and tall enough to handle it, you can pinch or prune the growing tip just above a node. Use clean scissors or clean fingers if the tip is soft enough. Removing the top interrupts the upward race and can encourage side shoots. If you never interrupt the top, the plant may never learn to branch. This does not turn it into a fruiting orchard. It turns it into a better-shaped houseplant. The goal is fuller growth, not instant avocados. After pruning, give the plant good light and steady care. Side branches need energy. Energy comes from leaves, roots, light, and time. And before anyone thinks this means free Hass avocados on the windowsill, we need to tell the truth. This method grows an avocado plant. It does not guarantee grocery store avocados. That is not a warning meant to discourage you. It is a truth that keeps the project honest. Seed-grown avocado is genetically variable. The seed inside a Hass avocado does not grow into a guaranteed Hass tree. It grows into a new seedling with mixed genetics. The fruit, if it ever comes, may be different from the parent. It may be good. It may be average. It may be poor. It may never happen indoors at all. University Avocado Guidance makes this clear. Desirable avocado varieties are normally propagated by budding or grafting because seedlings do not reliably come true to the parent. Some seed-grown avocado trees can take many years before flowering and fruiting, and the fruit may be very different from the avocado you ate. That is why nurseries sell grafted trees when people want predictable fruit. Grow the seed for the plant. Buy or graft a tree for predictable fruit. If you live in the right climate, outdoors, with enough space, warmth, pollination, and patience, a seedling can become a real tree. Some people do get fruit from seed-grown avocados after years. That can be exciting. But for most viewers, especially indoor growers, the honest reward is a beautiful leafy plant grown from something you were about to throw away. That is still worth doing. There is another small, lazy advantage nobody talks about. You do not have to start only one seed. If you eat avocados often, save 2 or 3 seeds and start them together. Not every seed will be equally fresh, equally healthy, or equally willing to sprout. That is normal. Starting more than one does not make the method harder, it actually makes it less emotional. If one seed sits there doing nothing, you are not tempted to poke it every day because another one may already be cracking. This is also why the lazy method should feel relaxed. You are not gambling your whole mood on one pit from one avocado. You are turning kitchen waste into a small experiment. One seed may crack in a few weeks, another may take much longer, another may never do anything. That does not mean you failed. Seeds are living things, not machines. If you see a little surface mold on the paper towel, do not immediately panic. Sometimes a tiny bit of fuzz appears because the environment is humid. Open the bag, rinse the seed gently, replace the towel, and make the new towel less wet. But if the seed is soft, black, smelly, or collapsing, that is not harmless fuzz. That seed is rotting. And the lazy thing to do is stop trying to rescue mush. Start with a fresh one, and if the root appears, protect it like the most fragile part of the whole process, because it is. The root is the future plant's lifeline. Do not hold the seed by the root. Do not bend it into the soil. Do not push it against the bottom of the pot. Make a small pocket in the mix. Lower the root into it, and let the seed sit naturally. Gentle handling now saves weeks of stress later. You can also use a direct soil version if you truly want the simplest route. Clean the seed, place the wide end down in a small pot with drainage. Bury the bottom half or 2/3. Leave the top exposed. Water once, and keep the soil lightly moist. The reason some people give up on direct soil is because nothing seems to happen. The seed may be building roots underground while the top looks completely asleep. That silence can make beginners dig it up, dry it out, or flood it. If you choose direct soil, patience is the method. Water shows you progress. Soil builds the plant. The damp towel method sits in the middle. It gives you the satisfaction of seeing the crack in root, but it does not force the seed to live in water until the root becomes long and delicate. That is why it fits the title so well. It is lazy, but not blind. It lets the seed start privately, then moves it into soil before the whole thing turns into a transplant rescue. Now, if you already have a seed hanging over a glass right now, do not throw it away. This is not about shaming the old method. If the root is short and healthy, you can still move it carefully into soil. If the root is already long, rinse it gently, make a deeper pocket in the potting mix, and ease it in without snapping it. After transplanting, expect the plant to pause. It may droop a little. It may stop growing while it adjusts. Keep it evenly moist, not soaked, and give it bright, gentle light. The worst thing you can do after transplant shock is panic water. A droopy avocado after transplant does not always mean it needs more water. Sometimes it means the roots are adjusting. If the mix is already moist, more water only removes air. Check the soil before reacting. The lazy method is really a calm method. It teaches you not to turn every plant mood into an emergency. After the seedling has leaves, watering becomes more like houseplant care. Let the top part of the mix begin to dry. Then water thoroughly enough that excess can drain. Do not give tiny daily sips just because the plant is special. Tiny sips can keep the surface damp, while deeper roots get an uneven drink. Also, do not let the pot sit in water for hours. Water, drain, and wait. If leaf tips turn brown later, there can be several reasons. Dry indoor air, mineral buildup, underwatering, overwatering, weak light, or stress can all show up on leaves. Do not automatically blame the lazy method. Look at the whole setup. Is the pot draining? Is the room cold? Is the plant close to a heater vent? Is it in a dark corner? Is the soil staying wet for too long? Avocados are not impossible plants, but they do not like extremes. Temperature matters too. A warm room helps. A cold windowsill at night can slow the seedling down. If the glass feels icy, the root zone may be colder than you think. Move the pot a little back from the window at night if needed, but keep it bright during the day. Warmth starts the seed. Brightness shapes the plant. Drainage keeps it alive. If you have pets that chew houseplants, put the avocado where they cannot reach the leaves, pit, or stem. A plant project is not worth turning into a pet problem. A high shelf, closed room, or hanging light setup is better than trusting a curious cat or dog to ignore a new green thing. There is one more reason this method feels so satisfying. You see the whole life cycle from kitchen scrap to houseplant. You eat the fruit, wash the seed, wait for the crack, watch the root emerge, pot it, see the shoot unfold, then shape the plant as it grows. It is slow enough to feel meaningful, but simple enough that a beginner can actually do it. That is why this is such a good project for someone who thinks they are bad with plants. You are not starting with a tiny invisible seed in a packet. You are starting with a big seed you can hold in your hand. You can see the top and bottom. You can watch the crack. You can see the root. Every stage teaches patience without making the process mysterious. And the best part is that failure is cheap. If one seed rots, you learn the towel was too wet. If one seed dries out, you learn the container needed more humidity. If one seed grows tall and weak, you learn the light was too low. If one plant gets mushy in soil, you learn drainage matters. Every mistake costs almost nothing because the seed was headed for the trash anyway. That is the spirit of lazy gardening. Not lazy because you do not care. Lazy because you remove the unnecessary steps, stop fighting the plant, and let simple conditions do the work. One warning though. Do not turn the lazy method into neglect after the plant is growing. A cracked seed can tolerate waiting, but a small seedling still needs regular attention. Check the soil. Check the light. Check the leaves. You do not need to hover, but you do need to notice. The best lazy gardeners are not absent. They are observant. And do not rush fertilizer. The seed has stored energy in the beginning. Once the plant has several healthy leaves and is actively growing, a weak houseplant feed during the growing season can help. But more is not better. A tiny avocado in a pot does not need a heavy meal. Too much fertilizer can burn tender roots or create salty soil. If you feed it later, feed lightly. Repotting is the same. Do not move it into a huge pot because you are dreaming of a giant tree. Move up one size when roots are circling, when the soil dries much faster than before, or when growth stalls despite good light and proper watering. A pot that is just a little bigger gives roots room without surrounding them in a wet, unused sponge. If you want to compare methods for fun, you can. Put one seed in the damp towel, one directly in soil, and one in the old glass method. But judge them after potting, not only after the first root. The fastest root is not always the strongest plant. The real test is how well the seedling adapts, keeps leaves, and grows after it reaches soil. That is why this video is not really against toothpicks. It is against making the hardest version the default. Toothpicks can teach you what a root looks like. Soil teaches the plant where it is going to live. The lazy method borrows the best part of both. Easy visibility at the start, early drainage after the root appears, and fewer chances to ruin the seed by doing too much. So when somebody tells you avocado seeds are difficult, remember what actually kills them. Too cold, too wet, no air, wrong direction, no patience, harsh sun too soon, no drainage. Almost none of those problems are solved by toothpicks. They are solved by calmer conditions. Keep the setup simple, and the seed will usually tell you what the next step should be before you need to interfere. So the real lazy win is not pretending this seed is an orchard. It is turning kitchen waste into a living plant. Here is the whole lazy method without the noise. Eat the avocado and save a fresh seed. Rinse off the flesh. Peel the brown skin only if it comes away easily. Find the wide bottom and the pointy top. Wrap the seed in a barely damp paper towel. Put it in a loose bag or small container. Keep it warm and dark. Check once a week. Wait for the crack. Wait for the root. Do not pry it open. Do not drown it. Do not disturb it every day. When a root appears, place it in a small pot with drainage. Use loose potting mix. Root down, point up. Leave the top of the seed exposed. Water gently and let the extra drain away. Keep the soil lightly moist, not swampy. When the sprout appears, give it bright indirect light. Rotate the pot. Avoid harsh sudden sun. Later, when it is strong enough, Pinch the top if you want a bushier plant. The lazy way works because it stops you from doing the two things that kill avocado seeds fastest: drowning them and disturbing them. And now the only question is whether your next avocado seed goes in the trash, over a glass, or into the lazy method. Remember, the toothpick method is optional, not magic. The water glass is fun, but it is not always lazy. A seed does not need a balancing act to prove it is alive. It needs warmth, barely damp moisture, oxygen, correct direction, patience, drainage, and light at the right time. The lazy way is not doing nothing. It is doing just enough and then letting the seed do what it was built to do. If you like simple garden experiments that turn kitchen scraps into living plants, subscribe now. The next video is coming soon, and it may save another seed you are about to throw away. Tell me in the comments, are you trying the paper towel method, direct soil method, or the old toothpick glass method? I want to know which one you trust. The lazy way is not doing nothing. It is doing just enough and then letting the seed do what it was built to do.